contract, you can't get union representation. And what that means is that mostly people from migration backgrounds are being left out from the best jobs in the city and forced into work conditions without social insurance, without health insurance, without unemployment insurance. And we've got to make sure that that stops, and the best way we can do that is to organize. I mean, yes, it is fairly normalized that people here are working in very informalized work relationships, no direct employment contract, just working through a WhatsApp group or working through an employer of record, where it's just a mailbox company that doesn't essentially do anything except...
Even when it's a big company.
Yeah, even when it's a big company. So what the big companies will do is they'll hire a company like Fleetlery, which then hires a bunch of other small companies, and those companies then hire these workers. And since they're really small companies, they don't have to abide by the same labor standards. And that's essentially how they operate.
And can you mention a company?
Yeah, I mean, Volt, Uber Eats. I mean, even people in white-collar professions are hired. Architects, often architects are hired by third parties to do design draft work that should be just hired in-house, because that would provide basic standards, basic wage benefits.
And which company did you focus on?
Which company do I focus on? I'm focused primarily on Lieferando, Volt, and Uber Eats.
And what are they accused of?
So Volt and Uber Eats engage in the same thing as what we're talking about with the subcontractors in Fleetlery. There have been multiple wage theft cases brought against them, multiple instances of people not being paid for sick time, not being given basic days off, working 16 hours a day. The standards are really insane. Like, this is, a new Gilded Age, really.
And what's the lack of knowledge when people start there?
You mean like what kind of knowledge should people know? If someone's not offering you an employment contract, you are very likely to be scammed. You're very likely to have your wages stolen, to not be allowed sick leave, basic working standards that are applied to most German companies will not be applied to. You can sue. We need you to sue. One of the best ways to fight these companies is to take them to court so we can build case law against them. The other thing that needs to happen is we need to get organized. We need to have a network of leaders across the city in every single major hub that can talk to more workers and get them involved so that we can make this strike movement so much bigger. So if you're working on a freelance contract, or Brandon, if you're working on a non-employment contract, you can still organize. We can still organize. We just have to get creative about how we do that, because it's not within the traditional system. It's a lot harder to go on strike, and we need to have a grassroots, inclusive strategy about how we do that. Yes. And there's a few steps we need to make before we can get a union in place, because unfortunately, we need a union. Absolutely. The best way we can do that, though, to get to a union is we have to have formal legal jobs. Many of the employees who could join a union, could negotiate collectively, can't access the benefits of it because they don't have an employment contract. So that's why we need the platform work directive, to make sure that all these subcontractors start hiring people directly, and in fact all the big companies should be hiring these workers directly. Then they could have access to collective agreement, negotiations, more formal institutions that are in charge of industrial relations here in Germany.
And it should better be more democratic.
I mean, I am always going to be a union supporter. I support unions ideologically, material interest-wise, but the fact is, all unions need to be more democratic. We need to be working for democratic unionism across every single union, and I don't think that's exclusive to any union in the world, to be honest. The very basic concept of union is democracy in the workplace. We need to bring the most pure forms of democracy in the workplace to all of our unions so that we can all have a bigger voice and a bigger seat at the table.
Is this gig economy in the EU?
In the EU? Good question. I don't know if I have an answer for you that one. There have been some victories won. People have won works councils. People have won collective agreement in Austria at Lieferando. But as you probably could imagine, Lieferando is now firing a lot of these workers. So it's bittersweet, right? Like, we win some, we take a step back. The reality is we need to have a European-wide trade union movement when it comes to these global companies. They're global, we gotta be global. My name is Gabriel Berlovitz. I'm here supporting the Lieferando Workers Collective because I'm part of a worker center known as the Migrant Worker Solidarity Movement. We provide trainings, support, direct organizing support on how you can reach your colleagues, how you can build power in the workplace. And we've been supporting these guys for the last year or so now. Also, this is a fight for migrant workers' rights.